Hey, Courtney, did you hear Oprah wrote another book and it got banned?
That doesn't sound right. Are you sure?
Oh, wait, surprise, surprise. The book banner was wrong. It was actually written by Amanda Gorman.
Oh, you know what? It's probably because Oprah wrote the forward to that book, but I would guess Moms for Liberty wouldn't know the difference since they don't actually read the books that they challenge.
That makes sense.
Hello, and welcome to Moms for Book Liberty.
The podcast where a couple of moms fight back against groups trying to control what our kids can read.
With each episode focusing on a specific book that has found itself on the chopping block of censorship.
So Jennifer, who was this person who thought that Oprah wrote the book The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman?
So this was challenged by just a single person out of Florida, Miami, Florida, and her name is Daly Salinas. And she's a Mom for Liberty member. At least she wears their shirts proudly.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. And speaking of proud,
oh
she's got
gosh,
connections to the Proud Boys.
no, also not a
Yeah.
surprise.
So a real winner here.
Okay. So she has connections to the Proud Boys. How do is that on Twitter or something?
There is a Twitter thread of someone who just was like exposing all her connections.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, media outlets picked up on it and have also shared quite a few articles about it.
Good. See, I love it when something like terrible like this happens. When people like on Twitter, like, hey, look at these like scandalous connections that this person has. Like, we need to come together and start revealing the nefarious intent of these individuals.
Yeah, we're definitely starting to pull the
Fight
covers
back.
off.
Yeah, exactly. And why are we doing this episode?
Today is Juneteenth.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's our special Juneteenth episode.
Yes, and if you want to discuss what Juneteenth means.
Oh, yeah. So for our listeners out there, Juneteenth is actually a relatively new federal holiday. It didn't used to be, right? So today's Monday, but like my husband has the day off because it's a federal holiday, and it celebrates the fall of slavery in Galveston, Texas. But this was actually 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued in 1863. So basically, slavery was over for 2 years, but it didn't end in Texas until this Juneteenth date.
Wow.
So this holiday is a symbolism that, it's a transition from slavery to freedom.
Okay. And so from what I've read, it's just also a celebration. It's a date used to celebrate Black joy, resilience, and the immeasurable contributions made by Black individuals to our shared history, culture, and society.
And that's why we thought to cover the amazing Amanda Gorman's poem, one of her many amazing poems, The Hill We Climb, which was read at Biden's inauguration. She was actually the second Black woman poet, but she was the youngest, which is really cool. She was 22.
22. And she was amazing.
Like, what was I doing at 22? You don't even want to
know. No. Not important things like this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she's awesome. So, but the first female Black poet laureate, or I don't know if she's a poet laureate, I should know this, but was Maya Angelou, and we are definitely going to cover some of Maya Angelou's amazing works in this podcast in the future. But this episode is dedicated to Amanda Gorman and her amazing poem that was, you know what? I'm just going to say it straight up, banned. It is restricted, which is another word for banned, for kindergarten through fifth graders at a K-8 school in Miami. So like 6th, 7th, and 8th graders can read it, but K-5 can't. And that sucks.
And there's nothing at all in this poem that is, in my opinion, controversial or anything that a child couldn't read, hear, listen.
Yeah, and before we get into that, because we're going to read some really powerful like lines from the poem, but going back to what we were saying with like the public, like you said, pulling off the covers, like revealing the nefarious intent, like fighting back against these like idiots like Moms for Liberty. And forgive my language, but I am a little fired up today because this is just censorship at its worst. And one good example of us fighting back, which I don't condone hacking. Okay. But like, there's a group called the Anonymous Hacker Group, right?
Yeah,
And
we're not mad at them for this.
no, we're not mad because what did they do?
They were able to shut down, like how they did it, I don't know, but they were able to shut down Moms for Liberty's website for like a day.
Yeah, it
You
was
know,
it was all
on
day,
and
but it was
off.
like off and on all day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did this in response to the censorship of Amanda Gorman's poem. And do you have a video or a sound clip that you can play from it?
Yeah, I have a sound clip and I also have a Twitter post that they put out, and it says, "Moms for Liberty, you ban books, we ban you from the internet. Stop spreading your hate." And then it says their
That is,
target, momsforliberty.org. It says, "Amanda Gorman, we have your back and the back of all U.S. citizens against oppression. Black Lives Matter."
oh, I love that. Wait, read the part where it says that you censor books, we censor you. What was that?
You ban books, we ban you from the internet. Stop
Yeah.
spreading your hate.
Stop spreading your hate. Like, you're going to ban these books, we're going to ban you. We need more people fighting back like that. And you know what? Did anyone get hurt? No.
No.
Was a message sent? Yes. Like, did it inspire more people to get up and go to school board meetings and fight against the censorship? I guarantee you it did.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what we need. We need people with a platform, people with influence, like encouraging people to fight back against this nonsense.
Exactly. All right, so I'm going to play the clip of the message they put out as well.
Awesome.
Stands firmly against these fascists and the real-life harm they are causing to American society. Human and civil rights are non-negotiable.
I love how they say human and civil rights are non-negotiable.
Right.
I don't know. I'm happy to see actual organizations like this trying to make positive change. So
yeah, and not just them. Also, we have the Southern. Hold on, I can never say that. Southern Poverty Law Center put out an issue that they are labeling Moms for Liberty as an extremist group.
Oh, and wasn't that a part of a report?
Yeah, so they put out a report of the report is Introduction 2022, the year in hate and extremism comes to Main Street. And in there they discuss, you know, how Moms for Liberty is an extreme anti-government group. And I like the part here. They said, founded to ensure civil rights for all, SPLC has deep expertise in monitoring and holding to account the Ku Klux Klan, the neo-Nazi movement, racist skinheads, anti-government militias, and other domestic hate groups and extremists.
Wow.
So that's who they're being lumped in with.
Moms for Liberty is being lumped in with the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, and obviously not surprising, the neo-Nazi movement, because, I don't know, I see a lot of similarities with the book banning.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Because, this is anti-Black. You know, it's erasing the history. It's erasing Black history. And because, you know, now we can get into the actual poem, you know, I think, and I can't speak for this woman who decided to challenge this book, but I think it's because she lumped it in with critical race theory. But like, it's not critical race theory. Not that critical race theory is even bad, but like, I will say critical race theory is not something that kindergarten through 8th grade or even, you know, even 12th graders really like need to learn about, because it's a graduate level concept.
Right.
It's not a bad concept. It's just a graduate level concept. So, but you know, these people are being sort of brainwashed into thinking that anytime we mention the history of slavery in the United States, it's CRT, but it's just history.
Exactly. It's something that actually happened.
Yeah.
It's not a theory. This actually happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And critical race theory is a theory, but you know, theories are actually really strong bodies of knowledge in science. But like, you're right. It's not a fucking theory. Like, slavery is actual history that happened, and we can't just ignore it.
And these are the same people that fought really hard to keep up Confederate statutes, because that's history.
Oh,
even though a fucking statue doesn't teach you anything, like a statue in the park.
The
You're just walking by it,
hypocrisy.
there's no history there.
Yeah.
But this is actual history.
Right. Yeah. But you know what? To your point, that's a really good point. They're fighting so hard to conserve one side of history.
Right.
The bad side, the side that lost because they were bad. You know, and like they want to ignore the other side or erase the other side.
Right. And the whole issue, I don't have an issue with us learning about Confederates. I just have an issue with statues because that's kind of implying
Yeah.
this is a good person.
Exactly. Yeah,
Look,
why
we
are
put up
we
a statue of them.
exactly like well there's
So
a
that
statue
that whitewashes our history.
exactly. Yeah. I mean the Statue of Motherfucking Liberty is a good statue. Like
Right.
we honor the mother of liberty, but like not General Robert E. Lee.
Right. And
He
look
was
at all the
bad.
schools, streets,
Mhm.
even military
Yeah.
not sites, what are they called?
Bases.
Bases, thank you.
Yeah.
Named after all these Confederates. Like
But we
that
have
makes no
seen
sense.
a shift. Like I think there was like a Robert E. Lee elementary school in Duval County that recently changed its name. So I was happy to
Yeah.
see that.
But
But
they're not happy about that, that they have an issue with.
exactly. Right.
So it's very telling to me when you have an issue with, us highlighting the problem with Confederates
Mm-hmm.
and you're worried about Black authors
Right.
doing good things.
Writing poems. It's
Yeah.
a poem. A great poem.
A fantastic poem.
Yeah. And you know what? It wasn't just her poem. Like this woman in the Moms for Liberty group down in Miami, it was one of 4 books, or actually one of 5 books. And the other books in her complaint were the ABCs of Black History, which like I've seen before. It's like a board book with like the literal ABCs of Black history. It wasn't the ABCs of slavery. It was the ABCs of Black history, which are we just banning Black history now? And
Well, we kind of have in Florida.
yeah, thanks to good old Ron DeSantis. Love to Langston by Tony Medina. I'm not sure what that one is. Countries in the News, Cuba by Kieran Walsh, and Cuban Kids by George Ancona, which I am not familiar with those, but I would like to look up and see what those books are. But
yeah, I'm not familiar with them either. And I'm surprised they have an issue with books about Cuba too.
yeah, I don't know. That is weird. But
I wonder what's in there that they don't like.
And the ABCs of Black history, that to me is just baffling because
it's like a board book, right?
Yeah. But like so I'm reading this this website from factcheck.org. So it's, they did all of their research to make sure that they weren't reporting inaccurate facts, which often happens when, social media gets a hold of like a headline such as this. But this has been factual and fact checked. So the parent cited in her complaint hate messages and CRT, or critical race theory, which I said earlier, these people are inaccurately clumping Black history with CRT. It's not the same thing.
Right. It's not remotely the same thing. CRT is like a college course, right?
Yeah. It's
a legal course.
A graduate. Yeah. For law students. But the people that were reviewing these books, they had a committee similar to what we do in our district. They decided based on House Bill 7. Thank you, Ron DeSantis. Not actually thank you. That was sarcastic. I am not
I picked up on that.
You're disgusting. But, because of House Bill 7, these books, they, due to age appropriate language, the committee erred on the side of caution and restricted these books to only grades 6 through 8. And so because of that bill, 5 books were taken away from K through 5 students.
And that's the problem with that bill. A lot of people are going to err on the side of caution. I just can't wait for it to backfire on them. And, they start banning things that they don't want banned.
Like the Bible.
Yeah. So then we'll see, we'll see how they feel about it when we flip it on them.
And that actually happened in Utah. I wonder how that
did. Yeah. And I thought I saw somewhere else, and I don't have, a link to it right now, but another lawmaker was putting that the restrictions for these books that can be banned, but somehow omitted religious texts. So making sure that the Bible would not be included.
Right. That's not fair.
No, not fair at all.
Right.
And I do have the actual report for the hill we climb that this the challenger Daily Salinas put through. And so she put down for the publisher or author Oprah Winfrey, which clearly incorrect. And I don't know how she missed it because the book itself, the cover, Amanda Gormon is in big bright red letters, and Oprah Winfrey is down at the bottom in teeny tiny.
Oh my gosh! Well, I mean, I joke about this, but it's accurate. It's true. It's like these moms for liberty aren't reading even the cover. They're not even paying any attention to any of the details, let alone like reading the actual book, like reading the actual content to get the context. They're not paying attention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if she would have read the foreword,
Yeah.
she would notice that she's talking about a 22-year-old.
Yeah.
And clearly Oprah is not 22. She
And
looks
maybe-
great, but she's not 22.
Right. She does look great. But, and maybe if this woman had read the actual poem, maybe she would have seen that in context. This is a poem about hope. And this is a poem about like loving your country.
Right.
And being proud to live here. And, you know, because of like the growth that we've done. And, you know, there's so many parts of the poem that sort of shine a light on that, but she didn't read it, so she wouldn't know.
And I was surprised. I thought maybe the book had more poetry in it, you know, because I hadn't seen the book, but I had heard her recite the poem at the inaugural.
Oh, I
So I was
love
like-
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, maybe there's more poetry in there. Like, you know, it's a book that includes that poem, but has other poems.
No, it's just one big poem.
And no, that's all that's in this book. It's just the poem.
It's just the inauguration poem, which do you remember watching it?
Yes.
It's like one of those things in history that you'll never forget. You know why? Because it was right after the the attack on the Capitol.
Mhm.
And so Amanda Gormon actually changed or like added a line or a stanza to her poem to reflect, you know, her feelings about the attack on the Capitol. And, you know, I'm just sitting there on the couch watching this on TV with my kids. And, you know, my kids are young, so it's sort of lost on them a little bit.
Right.
But I cried. I had the goosebumps. I was crying. I made my kids watch it. They're like, Mom, why are you crying? And I'm like, you know, and my oldest was like, man, you know, she's amazing. Like how old is she? Like she wrote that poem. I'm like, yeah. And, you know, and it was just such just a memorable moment in history that I'll never forget.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing it. I remember she was wearing yellow and it just looked so beautiful on her.
So beautiful.
And I think she had a red headband.
I think so too. Yeah.
So she just looks stunning.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, obviously her looks are not relevant, but just everything about it was just beautiful.
Well, it was the whole package.
Right. And then she started speaking and I was just blown away. Like, wow, she's amazing. I kept going, she's amazing. This is awesome. Oh my God. She's so young. Like I couldn't get over it.
Absolutely. So yeah, here's the verse she added after the insurrection. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust. For while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us.
And I don't see anything wrong with that.
No.
But I mean, I guess when you have close ties to the Proud Boys,
who
you
were
might not
all
like
like
that.
arrested for of course. Like your Proud Boys got arrested for attacking our Capitol, like, which is the opposite of democracy. Like, do you hate our country?
Right. The so-called patriots, you know,
Right.
It's such an oxymoron.
Right. You know, Amanda Gormon is a patriot, you know?
Yes. And I think they probably also took issue because she mentions that she's Black. Oh no, you know, you can't use that word.
Right. Because she said
That's CRT.
yeah, right. And so, yeah, we just keep diving into, you know, the problems that they had with her poem. And it really was minimal, you know, the references to slavery and Black history.
So in this part, she mentions that she's a skinny Black girl. So I'm just going to read it. We, the successors of a country in a time where a skinny Black girl, descended from slaves and raised by a single mother, can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one.
Oh, I have the goosebumps because that's just such an amazing stanza, first of all.
Right. And I mean, I know I'm not doing it any justice by reading it.
No, I mean,
you have to hear her read it because it's just beautiful.
I know. Yeah. If you,
but I mean, she is a skinny Black girl.
Mm-hmm.
She is descended from slaves.
Mm-hmm.
She was raised by a single mother. What is CRT here?
I just realized it. You know what it is? That she said she wants to run for presidency. They're like, oh shit,
shut that down.
We gotta shut this down. Like, we can't have a skinny Black girl being the president.
That would send them into a tailspin.
Right. And you know what, though? Like I read in a different source, aside from just that part of her poem where she basically says it, but like she does plan on running for the presidency, which I am so
Wow.
excited for.
Yeah,
Like,
she'd be
please
amazing.
don't change your mind.
If this is what she's doing at 22, oh my
Uh-huh.
gosh.
Like, and the fact that she's like, yeah, I'll do that. Because, I don't know. I think I remember after Obama, a lot of people were like pressuring Michelle to run for presidency. And
Yeah.
she was like, hell no.
Right.
So,
Which I understand because her family's already been through
yeah,
so much, it'd be like starting all over again.
absolutely.
And they
Yeah.
still attack them like constantly. So
Yeah.
I have pulled up the form that she filled out specifically for the Hill We Climb.
Okay.
And so the question is, why do you object to this material? And she wrote down, is not educational and have indirectly hate messages. Pages 12 through 13.
Wait, so what's on page 12 and 13?
I'm going to read those for you. It says,
Okay.
we've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace. And the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice.
Oh,
And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. That's it.
are you serious? So, like the last line there, a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. So, I'm sorry, are you saying the problem you have with this is that she's saying our nation isn't broken?
Right.
Like, do you want to say that our nation is broken? Like, I fail to see the issue here.
Yeah, we're a work in progress. She's highlighting that.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what goes through these people's heads. I honestly cannot figure it out.
And you know what? Here's another point, because that what you just read reminded me that another part of her poem, she asks everyone listening who supports President Biden, because this is a poem about Biden's inauguration.
Right.
And those who do not, and those who not just people, that support Biden, but people who don't support Biden. So this is like an attempt to unify the
Mhm.
country. So like, again, I'm sorry, are you against the unification of our people and our country? But she goes on to say, lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms. And so she's using the word arms to describe weapons in one's physical arms, trying to draw in the divide between these two sides, right? So she says, we tried, that will forever be tied together. Again, alluding to, the difficulties that we've had as a country, right? And how we've suffered together. So with all the things, COVID, school shootings, like we need to just like grow together, which is what this poem to me is all about.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I see. This is a call to unify, to heal
Together.
And instead, she's saying, no, it's full of hate messages.
No.
And I'm like, did we read the same thing? Oh, no, that's right. You didn't read it.
Yeah. Yeah. And she even mentioned scripture, which you'd think they'd be a part of. They'd be like, oh, yeah. Which going back to the Bible being banned in Utah, I just want to say, like, and I think, Jennifer, you agree with me, like, we don't want the Bible to be banned. We don't want anything to be challenged or censored or banned.
Right. Just because I don't read the Bible or want my kids really, that's just, I've mentioned this before. I've grown up in church.
Mm-hmm.
I've been turned off by it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's okay. I don't want that for my family, but that doesn't mean I get to take it away from everybody else. That's just not how it works.
Exactly. And if like one of your kids came home with not even the Bible, but like some sort of Christian text or some sort of religious book, would you take that away from them?
No. I have a lot of religious family. Mm-hmm. They talk to them about God all the time.
Same.
So I don't have a problem with that because eventually they have to make their own decisions.
Exactly.
Too.
And that's what I tell them. And
that doesn't mean I don't give them my opinion on it, of course, but
same. And as a person who grew up in not a religious household, like I really sought out those religious texts. I wanted to learn. I remember a course I took in college on like religions of the world. And I was just like, just eating it up because I was so curious because I had never like learned about that. And religion is really important for some people. And even me at times in my life, like I found myself sort of, like leaning on that for comfort. And I think that, that's the good side of religion. And if one of my kids came home with some sort of religious text, I would encourage them to grow their perspectives and
Right.
learn, right? And it just goes to show, like, if you read the Bible, it's not going to turn you into a Christian.
Right.
If you read the Torah, it's not going to turn you into a Muslim, you know? So, everyone should be able to read whatever they want to read.
And come to their own conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
That's not indoctrination. That's the opposite.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Going back to the challenger, she thinks that this will cause confusion and indoctrination.
Mm.
So she thinks that this book is indoctrination.
Wow.
But the Bible isn't,
Right. Like, if
Which
you
again, it's not, but the way they try to use it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's true. Reading the Bible is not going to indoctrinate you, but if you've watched Shiny Happy People, which we talked about in our last episode, which our last episode was almost 2 hours long, so this is a short episode for you guys. So if you don't have the time to listen to it, I understand, but watch Shiny Happy People on Amazon, because it does really reveal a lot of the ways that the fundamentalist Christians are trying to indoctrinate children.
Yeah. And we're seeing what they want to do now, what their plans are coming to fruition now, with them putting people in government to change laws. And
what are those? The Joshua generation?
Yes, that's what it was
scares
called.
me. Yeah. So the Shiny Happy People talks about the Joshua generation, which basically like indoctrinates these kids at a young age, homeschools them, and then just like puts them on this like path to becoming a politician, to pass bills that are directly aligned with their fundamentalist values. We're not talking like non-denominational Christians. We're not like, I just want to make a point and say that, like, there are lots of great Christian churches out there that don't do this.
Yeah.
But the church in Shiny Happy People is not one of them.
But the thing is, when they put their show out, a lot of normal Christians saw that family and was like, wow, that's really cool. Because I know my mom, I think, used to watch it. And, or see them and be like, wow, that's a really nice family, or people at church would see that as like a safe show to watch with their families.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, they don't realize they're being, indoctrinated by the show.
So another reason, again, Jennifer and I just sort of like read this poem. We kind of analyzed it. We're trying to figure out what it is that they had a problem with. And Jennifer read the so-called hate speech, which was not hate speech at all. I don't know what page this is on, but there's one part where I'm wondering if they have a problem with, because she uses the word repair, which kind of suggests reparations. So let me read this quote from her poem, which in my opinion, it's the one I remembered, when I was watching the inauguration live, because it's so powerful. So she says, "For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb, if only we dare it. Because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it." Which is, just so many lines are giving me the goosebumps.
Yeah, and that can be seen as maybe reparations, but it could also be just repairing. Our country's broken. Has been.
Yeah. And here she is being just so optimistic about moving forward.
But I could see maybe they were looking at it and saying, "Oh, she's asking for reparations,"
right? Which is not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing at all.
But yeah, I mean, but we're just trying to figure out what the hell these people had a problem with in this like uplifting poem of hope in our country.
This is all about keeping books in libraries. And we want these people to stop banning them. And they're always going after minorities. It's either a person of color, an author of color, or the book is about a person of color, be it Black, Hispanic, Asian, Middle Eastern.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or it's someone who is LGBTQ.
Or an ally.
Or an ally.
Or an ally of any of those communities, honestly.
So that's why we want to keep speaking on this.
And when she found out that her poem was restricted to just 6/8, which I'm going to say banned, her poem was banned from K5. Like, even, a kindergartner could be being introduced to poetry, and their teacher could be reading it out loud, just the way that I did and the way that you did. So it's like, what, asking a kindergartner, what do you notice about those words? And they could say, oh, well, they really flowed together, or they rhymed, or whatever. Like it's a beautiful tool to introduce poetry.
Right.
But when she found out that it was banned in K-5 classrooms, she wrote, robbing children of the chance to find their voices in literature is a violation of their right to free thought and free speech. And she couldn't be more correct.
Yeah. She put also out on Twitter a statement when she found out. She said, I'm gutted. Because of one parent's complaint, my inaugural poem, The Hill We Climb, has been banned from an elementary school in Miami-Dade County, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Book bans aren't new, but they have been on the rise according to the ALA. 40% more books were challenged in 2022 compared to 2021. What's more, often all it takes to remove these works from our libraries and schools is a single objection.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be clear. Most of the forbidden works are by authors who have struggled for generations to get on bookshelves.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of these censored works are by queer and non-white voices.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote The Hill We Climb so that all young people could see themselves in a historical moment. Ever since, I've received countless letters and videos from children inspired by The Hill We Climb
Mm-hmm.
to write their own poems. Robbing children of the chance to find their voices in literature is a violation of their right to free thought and free speech. What can we do? We must speak out and have our voices heard. That's why my publisher, Penguin Random House, joined PEN America, authors and community members in a lawsuit in Florida's Escambia County to challenge book restrictions like these. And then she goes on to say, together, this is a hill we won't just climb, but a hill we will conquer.
That is amazing. So, I mean, again, like we've said this whole episode, it sounds like this is just a poem of hope and encouragement and inspiration to grow together as a country. So, maybe Moms for Liberty and the Proud Boys have a problem with that because they're racist and they need to be called out on their racist bullshit. So
they don't want to be called racist. They need to stop acting like this.
Exactly. And, when you were reading her statement, I was just thinking about something I had read about her influences when I was doing some research for this episode. And she says that, when she was a young, girl, her writing was very Anne of Green Gables until she studied the work of Toni Morrison, who is not very Anne of Green Gables, like the complete opposite. So it just goes to show, Toni Morrison, just wonderful female Black writer of The Bluest Eye, which we'll eventually cover in this podcast because that's a very challenged book.
Yes.
If books like that are taken away, then girls, when, like Amanda Gorman, when she was a girl, they wouldn't have these influences to become who she is today.
Right. And these are exactly the books they're trying to get rid of. So,
Yeah.
I mean, her book might inspire a future poet
Mm-hmm.
and might, imagine if this book isn't available, this could change a girl's life.
Exactly.
Just like Toni Morrison changed hers.
Yeah. And she said, when she discovered Toni Morrison in middle school, she said, that's when I realized that stories could actually be about people who look like me.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's just amazing. So yeah, you heard it from us. Moms for Liberty is racist. So are the Proud Boys. We need to step up and fight against, their dangerous rhetoric. Go to your school board meetings.
Yeah, show up because the more we show up and outnumber them, the better.
That's right. And remember, they can't take books away from you.
If you've already read them.